What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another vid. In today's vid, I just wanted to examine the 16 teams left in the 2021 March Madness bracket. And we got 48 games in the book, so these are the 16 teams that earn the right to be here. I just wanted to take a look at each team, maybe break them down a little, and then make my final predictions for who I think will ultimately win this year's national championship. So let's start. Right up in the top corner, we got a really good game between Gonzaga and Creighton. 1 seed Gonzaga, 5 seed Creighton. I did have to predict this matchup, and this should be a really good game. You know, we got two good teams. Creighton, their competition hasn't been great, playing a 12 seed and then playing a 13 seed, but you know, they have looked really good, especially in the last game against Ohio. So I definitely think they can give Gonzaga some trouble. But ultimately, I still think that Gonzaga is going to get to the Elite Eight. They looked really good against Oklahoma in the last game. So there's nothing that tells me that they can't and won't beat Creighton yet. You know, even though I think Creighton isn't a bad team at all. And then looking at our next game, we got the 6 seed Trojans against the 7 seed Oregon Ducks. Both teams playing really well. Oregon just blew the doors off Iowa, and USC just dropped, what did they drop, 85 on Kansas? So this should be a really good game. I think both teams are really good, but I think for this one, I'm going to end up taking USC. I just think maybe they have a little more firepower than Oregon. Not saying anything bad about Oregon. You can definitely go either way. Coming down to the East bracket, we got some good games. 1 seed Michigan against 4 seed Florida State. In my original video that I put out before March Madness began, I did have Florida State as one of my Final Four teams, and I think I'm going to stick to that. So I'm going to pick Florida State to have the upset. I definitely don't think that 3 1 seeds are going to make it to the Final Four, maybe 2. And I think those 2 would probably be Gonzaga and Baylor if 2 do get there. But I'm going to pick Florida State with the upset. And then we got 11 seed UCLA versus 2 seed Alabama. And as much as I want to pick UCLA, you know, they had a really good run going all the way back to the first 4 against Michigan State. But I still think Alabama is that good. You know, they've been playing really good in their 2 showings, so I think I'm going to stick with Alabama, which would give us an Elite Eight of 4 seed Florida State against 2 seed Alabama. Then we can come up to the South bracket, where we got Baylor versus Villanova, and I think a lot of people didn't expect, besides Villanova fans obviously, but I think a lot of people didn't expect Villanova to be in this situation, and they've been playing really stellar without Colin Gillespie, one of their top players. But I still think Baylor is going to advance the Elite Eight. They looked shaky against Wisconsin. That's my team. You know, I watched that entire game. They had some really good moments, some really bad moments, but I think they still have an all-around one of the best guard teams in the nation. I think that's going to carry them to the Elite Eight. And then we got 3 seed Arkansas against Cinderella Story, Oral Roberts, 15 seed. They knocked out my predicted champion, Ohio State. That was a tough one. But I do think this is where the road ends for Oral Roberts. I think Arkansas is a really good team. That game against Texas Tech was really good. But I do think that Arkansas pulls out the W against Oral Roberts to advance to the Elite Eight. And then we've got 2 hot teams in Loyola Chicago taking out Illinois on Sunday. Or was that Saturday? No, that was Sunday. And then we got 12 seed Oregon, who just took down Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State. And this is probably one of the tougher matchups. You know, who you pick in this one? 2 red-hot teams. And I think that I want to go with the experience in this one. I think that I want to take Loyola Chicago just because of what they've done over the last couple of years. You know, I feel like that's a big reason for their success this year, is that they've been here before. Whereas Oregon State, this is definitely one of their first big runs they've had. But I'll take Loyola Chicago to advance. And then we got 11 seed Syracuse versus no. And then we got 11 seed Syracuse against 2 seed Houston. Houston coming off a crazy game against Rutgers, escaping with that one. And this one can definitely go either way, you know. You could definitely see Syracuse as an 11 seed just getting to the Elite 8. Feels like it happens almost every year. And then Houston is a really good team, you know. But I kind of want to take Syracuse. I feel like I should stick with Houston. I think maybe they can take the Rutgers game as a learning lesson and maybe get their act together to make a final run. So I'll take Houston, which would give me Florida State versus Alabama, Loyola Chicago, Houston, Gonzaga, USC, and Baylor, Arkansas. Looking at this Elite 8 matchup between Gonzaga and USC, that could be another challenging game for the Zags, but I'll still take them to reach the Final Four. And then we got 1 seed Baylor versus 3 seed Arkansas. This game could definitely go either way. Either of these teams is capable of reaching the Final Four. But I think I'll stick with Baylor as much as I want to take Arkansas. And I really think that Arkansas can do it. There's no doubt in my mind. But for now, I'll take Baylor. So we got 2 1 seeds in the Final Four. And then Florida State versus 2 seed Alabama. That is a really good game. And, you know, I picked Florida State in my pre-March Madness predictions to get to the Final Four, but I think I'm going to take Alabama. From what they've shown, not saying Florida State hasn't shown really good stuff either, because they have, but I think I'm going to take Alabama in that one. So we got a Gonzaga versus Alabama matchup, and then Loyola Chicago versus Houston. Wow, this is another tough one, you know. Does Loyola Chicago have the horses to get back to the Final Four? It can definitely happen. And just, something's just telling me, like, you know, it's not going to happen again. As much as a lot of people do want it to happen. I feel like I should take Houston. So, I'm going to take Houston now. And that would give us a 1-2 final. And in this case, I definitely don't want to pick a 1 seed versus 1 seed final, even though it's possible. But I definitely think that Baylor could beat Houston to send Baylor to the national championship game. So definitely Baylor. And Gonzaga, Alabama. This is a matchup. You know, something like this. You think back to that 2015 season where Gonzaga ended up playing, Kentucky was like, what were they, like 33-0 or something? 38-0 when they reached the Final Four and had to come up against the 1 seed Badgers of Wisconsin. You know, they're going for that undefeated season and Wisconsin just knocked them off to get to the championship. So I'm kind of feeling those vibes here, not gonna lie. I think I'm going to take Alabama, 2 seed Alabama, to reach the championship and knock off undefeated Gonzaga to set up an Alabama-Baylor national championship. And that would be a 1 versus 2 seed, and I think for that I would end up taking Baylor to win it all in the national championship for 2021. Say like a score of like 77-72. Should give us like 149 total. So those are my Sweet 16 predictions for the teams that we got left in this tournament. It should be a really good road to the finish, and I'm excited to see where it unfolds in the next couple of weeks. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll be doing more college basketball breakdowns, and then probably some NFL free agency, and then we'll get ready for like the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, stuff like that. But that's gonna do it for this one. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.